Hi everyone, Anthony Go-Boo-Boo-Batano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Portrayal of Guilt album, We Are Always Alone. This is the second full-length album from Austin, Texas metal outfit Portrayal of Guilt, which follows the release of their blistering debut a few years ago, Let Pain Be Your Guide, where the band delivered a violent and volatile mixture of black metal and screamo. Now, it should be mentioned this group is obviously not the first to find common ground between these sounds. Death Heaven will most likely remain to be the most notable band to do such, but that doesn't mean there isn't room to experiment, and Portrayal of Guilt's direct and ferocious approach is certainly a contrast from the shoegazy, atmospheric black metal that was trendy the year Sunbather dropped. We Are Always Alone presents some pretty explosive blast beat passages, just roaring with bass and guitar, played impeccably well too. The band is phenomenally tight on these tracks. The production's crystal clear on this thing too. Every drum and every distorted bass lick hits in high definition. The more atmospheric passages are shadowy and enveloping. Whoever engineered this thing has godlike ears. But with all of the great things Portrayal of Guilt has going for themselves on this project, it's just surprising to hear so many other things that just sound unambitious, frankly. The vocals for one, and there are a lot of harsh vocals on this project, varied vocals as well. Black metal wretches, screamos, screams, as well as some despondent, moany spoken word in the second half of the song My Immolation. So again, a lot of different vocals on this record, but never a standout vocal. Even the way the band transitions from one vocal style to the next isn't entirely unique or distinct. The occasional gang choruses are maybe the most memorable moments on the record vocally speaking, but even they aren't so great they can carry the entire project. To an extent, I have to make the same case for the guitar and bass tone on this thing as well. Look, like I said earlier, the record is engineered very well. It's very loud, it hits hard, it is somewhat dynamic too, but there is just so little flavor to the tone of these guitars and bass. In its best moments, this project to my ears sounds like the more pummeling passages of Behemoth's The Satanist, but with way less compositional skill and instrumental ambition. Then there's the writing. Again, I will say the sound of this record hits hard and the performances are hyper-aggressive, but the riffs and leads on most of these tracks are absolutely not out to impress, or really leave much of a memory behind, especially on some of the shorter and more frenzied tracks here. Attempting Plan, The Second Coming, slightly longer songs in the track list like Anesthetized as well as It's Already Over do feature some more compelling grooves as well as dynamic song structures, but they're still lacking in something to just sort of push things over the top. No matter how hard the band goes, their sound and their writing just comes off very meat and potatoes. Still though, I do see potential in some of the longest songs on this record like Oath as well as Garden of Despair, where I have to give the band credit for creating a series of passages that contrast nicely while also fluidly transitioning into each other, just really building and switching up the momentum nicely as we move from chilling lows to enraged highs. But maybe the most unimpressive thing about all these tracks are the various non-endings at the finish of them, where instead of writing something to really tie things up, the band will suddenly break into a totally unexpected sound effect or piece of instrumentation that has a much different texture than everything we've heard up until this point, usually to initiate a chilling vibe of some sort when honestly, if you had access to all these interesting sounds, you could have just used them in the songs themselves. Certainly would break things up more effectively than just popping them in as a replacement for a proper finish. But to sum things up, I enjoyed this record on the whole, and certainly it has great performances, fantastic production, seems like the band has a solid conception of song structure too, and while the vocals and the sound play and the writing weren't necessarily terrible, they were clearly lacking, and I hope to see the band push further on those fronts into the future. Feeling a light to decent 6 on this one. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Portrayal of Guilt, forever.